Wait, oh, sorry. Hi.
Oh,
Hey, it's been so long.
Vicky, it's been so long. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm doing very good.
You know, guess who I was just on the phone with?
Yeah?
Vanessa.
Oh, so
Yeah.
how's she's doing?
She's good. I mentioned this to her and
Yeah.
she said that you interviewed her too.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's on our YouTube channel. So I
okay.
try to make more like contents like an episode up to my goal is like meeting 100 artists first. So
Gosh. Okay.
far, my list is like 30 people more than before. So, I
That
resumed this project, more actively before,
yeah.
school was
Well,
very, very busy. So,
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm about to be there.
yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit sleep deprived because finals week and then also I think I've been taking on a lot of like extra projects.
Ah,
So that's
really?
kind
Before you graduate, you do something more?
yeah, I think it's just kind of like it's partly like I want to maximize like kind of being able to collaborate with the people who are here and then also just like there's some stuff where it's like I either want to get more experience or like I have a good relationship with this person, so okay, like I'll do this for you. Like
Right.
today I spent like 5 in the morning to 10:30 in the morning arranging for
Wow.
a friend. So,
Really?
because we had a rehearsal that started at noon, and so I had to like, and I
Oh,
just didn't have time in the days before that,
yeah,
like
right.
finals. And do you remember the opera class?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yesterday I sang in one of the freshmen's operas. So, like, that was kind of my entire like second half of yesterday. So,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just it's been really fun, but it's been busy. So, yeah.
Right. Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, no, it is exciting. Like I'm excited
Yeah,
to do all of these things. Yeah.
right. So, welcome to HYSSOP. So I would you like to have your introduction first? So, would you?
Sure. My name is Niki Simerly. I am about to graduate from my undergraduate degree at Boston University.
Mhm.
I study music composition and theory, and I'm about to do oh my gosh, a graduate degree in screen scoring at Indiana University, Jacobs School of
Great,
Music.
awesome,
Yeah.
congrats.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
your reference, my name is spelled Niki. I just saw on the meeting that it was Nikki.
Oh, okay. NIK, sorry. I was
That's
like,
okay.
I just, like I was too busy. So
Oh
I
yeah.
will correct because on the paper, so I did right names, so NIKI, right? But
Um, I think
this
so.
Zoom
Let me
meeting,
pull
yeah,
up the
yeah,
paper
yeah.
again.
On
Like
the
I said, I just
interview,
have like
yeah,
10 million
I
billion
did
things
yeah,
coming. Yes, okay, you
NIKI,
spelled it
right?
correctly.
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry for the confusion.
Okay. No problem.
So I have a lot of questions for you, but
Oh, I'm
just
ready. I'm ready.
yeah, time-wise, I'll just, some you don't have to answer everything though.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm free actually. I happen to block out this night as like taking a break, whatever, so I'm just gonna go watch
Really? Okay.
TV with my roommate after this. So
Okay.
I'm free as long as you need me.
Awesome. Awesome. So my first question was, when did you first realize music was going to be more than just a hobby for you?
I have a few answers to this question. I have like the version that like everyone else knows about, and I have the
Mhm.
version that like I know about.
Right.
I have honestly known that I wanted to be a musician since I was about like 3. And
Wow.
it's like really silly. I saw High School
Yeah.
Musical and I saw them all singing and performing, and I was like, I need that to be me. Like that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. But then
Oh,
my dad like mentioned to me, like he kind of like looked down on performers, and I was like, oh, so that's not what I'm gonna do. And so I think that was kind of, but my answer that I tell like so like I kind of knew for like a while that that's what I wanted to do. I wrote songs like religiously like my entire life. And then but the one I tell people because I think people mostly know me as like someone who writes film music
hmm.
is when I was like kind of 11 or 12-ish, I did an arrangement of the How to Train Your Dragon score for like a band project.
Oh,
And then
wow.
that kind of got me into like because I played horns, so I did like a duet, so I like recorded
Right.
myself twice. And then I was like, how is this soundtrack making me like feel these different things? Like, why do I feel these emotions at this point? And I was like, what is it doing that is making me feel that? And then that was kind of my like rabbit hole into, I think, concert music and
Oh, wow.
also film music. So yeah.
Right.
Then I
Wow,
started
that's
like learning.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, like inspiration questions. So, which composers or artists have, had the biggest influence on your musical journey so far?
for sure. I have a couple answers for film scoring, and then I have like
Uh-huh.
answers for other ones.
Sure.
So scoring, I think I told you How to Train Your Dragon. So John Powell, who
Mm-hmm.
is like a very common answer as I found out as I've kind of gotten into, the film scoring world. And then another classic answer is John Williams, but specifically in the Star Wars prequels, which I really,
Ah,
really loved as a
I
kid.
see.
Like the Across the Stars, like all of that. I was like, oh my gosh, why am I crying? So
I
that,
see.
yeah, it was magical for me. Um,
Okay.
and
So
then there's
two
also like,
composers was the
yeah.
biggest. Okay, great. Wow. Okay. So can I ask you when was that?
Yeah, so that I think was kind of around that same like a period of time, like 11 or 12
Yeah,
for me. And
teenager,
then I
like
also
beginning
have
of
like,
teenager. Wow.
yeah,
Very
I have
young
like a lot of
age.
like musical artists too that like I kind of really looked up to like growing up, like as a singer, like Ariana Grande, I really look up to her.
Ah,
And
okay.
then I listened to like a lot of Adele and like Lady Gaga, like growing up,
Right,
growing up.
right.
So
So I
them too.
was curious, sorry for cut up.
It's
So
okay.
you were also a horn player, right? So
Yes,
how did
yeah.
you start?
So honestly, that's a funny question. So I
Yeah.
took piano lessons from like this lady in my neighborhood. And my mom was like, you should play a rare instrument. Because I think she was like,
Okay.
that's gonna help you get into college. And I was like, okay. And so my teacher was like, so two rare instruments are the not the piano, that's yeah, the rarest
Right.
instrument,
Right.
the oboe and the French horn. So we went
Mm-hmm.
into a music and arts,
Mm-hmm.
which is, like a chain music store.
Right.
And I tried the oboe and I like blew and I couldn't get a sound out of it. But then the French horn, like they
Mm,
taught me how to buzz and then I buzzed
right.
into it and it made a note and I was
Ah,
like, this is magical. I just
right.
made a note out of this like big metal beast of an instrument. This is
Right.
insane. And I like from that moment I was hooked. And so I
Wow.
did I played I think because I started violin in like fourth grade because they kind of start you at that age in elementary school.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I played the horn and violin for 1 year, but then I was
Mhm.
like, the horn is so much better. So I just kind of kept going with that.
Ah, wow. That's very, like inspiring story. I mean, like choosing a rare instruments is not easy for you anyway, but you made a choice and then move forward with the choice and you become a like very good corn player and composer
Thanks. Thank
and
you.
like whatever, you really love to do in the future, then it's really good for you to have, like very decent ability to have that skills. Wow. So I was kind of, always impressed by your horn playing, when we have the class
Thank
together.
you.
So yeah, so that was my like personal question.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have like a whole lore around that. And I'm sure you're kind of starting to realize that I can just talk and talk. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, sure. So how has your time, at Boston University shaped your approach to composition, especially?
Um, a lot
Yeah.
actually. And I wasn't expecting it to because I think I kind of came in with like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
gonna get this like artistic training and then I'm gonna go like do what I want to do, which is not what we do here. But then I kind of in opening myself up to think in different ways, I think it really expanded my mind in terms of the possibilities of
Hmm.
what we as composers can do.
Hmm.
So like in the last year I studied with Joshua Feinberg for both
Hmm.
semesters. And I
Oh,
think
nice.
yeah, I think his perspective has like really, because he's like a completely different artistic voice than I
Right.
am, but
Right.
I have like a lot to learn. Think he really made me focus on like kind of structure and planning
Uh-huh.
pieces,
Uh-huh.
um, kind of that macro view, which I'm
Uh-huh.
not used to. I'm not used to planning. I'm used to just kind of jumping in and like letting it flow out of me.
Right. Hmm.
But he was like, I mean, like that's what we do for like, the freshmen. Like when you're
Right.
like serious composer, you need to like map it out. And like
Right.
once you skill, it's transferable to everything. And so
Right.
that was difficult for me,
Oh,
because I wasn't
nice.
used to it. And then also I think he said like you should be able to kind of like hold the whole piece in your head and like work on like building up that internal memory. And I was like, oh
Right.
my God. Whoa. So I was like, I can
Yeah.
barely remember a song when I think of it. I have to write it down right away. And so I think that way of thinking and also just like the way he thinks about music. I think I don't always agree with everything, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's ever been wrong, which
Mm-hmm.
is like really interesting because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I know there's always truth in what he's saying. There's
Mm-hmm.
always like he doesn't mince words, and so I think it's definitely been really formative to study with him.
I see. So before you have, you were in different studio.
Yes, yeah. So
Ah,
before him, I was in Ketty Nez's studio for one
great.
semester, and she's
Uh-huh.
incredible because
Right.
we did the opera class with her the semester before that, I think.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you have flexibility to, switch the studio in undergrad, right? I mean,
Yeah,
BU is like, yeah, open to,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, so you have like several teachers in
Yeah,
the
because BU
program, right?
has a good culture around like being able to kind of
Right.
switch studios and like, they don't
Right.
punish you. I hear it's different for like string players, but I think
Right.
especially if
I
you're
see.
undergrad, you're
So
encouraged.
two composition mentors you
Oh,
work.
I've had more than that actually.
Okay, but the
I
Josh Feinberg was the biggest influence on you to
I think
have more. Okay,
kind of. I
kind
studied
of.
with John Wallace for 2 years.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
lovely
him too.
teacher.
Yes. Did you study with him?
No, well, the class, one class.
Oh, okay. Is that like
Yeah,
the doctoral
yeah, yeah,
theory?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
He
cool. I
teaches
remember
the
that.
tonal analysis, well, like a four-part
601?
harmony for doctorate students for
Okay.
exams. So that's one
Got
class
it.
I yeah study with him. Yep, yep.
Cool.
So
He
I
would
know
grade
him.
your papers before I came in.
Right, right. So okay, so you have three, four teachers in undergrad.
Ye- Yeah, and I studied with people at the Royal College of Music too, but that was like kind of like my study abroad. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so here, so I was wondering, so it's kind of a personal question maybe,
Yes.
but probably many audience wants to hear. So you have the exchange program in Royal College. So how does that work, and what's the motivation to do so? I was curious.
Sure. So I it's basically I think a cohort of music students from the Boston University School of
Hmm.
Music. You all apply. I think pretty much everyone usually like
Right,
gets it.
right.
And then we all, fly to London. We study at the Royal College of Music with faculty there, and we kind of
Hmm.
take equivalent classes to what we would take at
Hmm.
BU in order to fulfill our degree requirements.
Right.
I sang in the choir there. I took lessons from two different people, one kind of composition person and one person on the screen scoring faculty. So
Ah,
it was good. I definitely
recommend.
I recommend it if for nothing else, just to like go to a different country and kind of experience it there because
Right,
I think you should take every opportunity to kind of
right.
travel and experience life in different places.
I see. So would you say, like exchange program open you more opportunities or more inspirations to be, pursue a composer, or how does that work?
I think it definitely can. I think for a lot of people that I know who have done
Hmm.
like there's people who have like formed careers in London because they really kind of capitalized on those connections and they wanted to
Right.
base their careers there.
Hmm.
I think I knew for myself that I wanted to be based in the US. So I honestly I feel like I should have kind of made more friends there than I did. I was
Hmm.
scared because I was like, I'm never going to see these people again. I'll be sad
Right.
when I leave.
Oh,
But I think if I could do it over, I would have really kind of like talked to everyone and connected with as many artists as possible because it's like it's more people, it's more
right, right.
the world.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. That's so great. So maybe move on to your music.
Yeah.
So what was one of the first stories you remember, trying to tell through your music?
Um, I think so for me, so I have an answer for concert music too, but for me, it
Okay,
kind of
yeah,
started with
anything, yeah.
songwriting. Sure, yeah. So for me, it started with songwriting, and I kind of used songwriting as a form of journaling to kind of
Hmm.
process my emotions. So I was kind of like I think a lot of my like early music kind of centered around like finding my voice because I was very quiet and I kind of like felt like I was someone who like, got talked over a lot of the time. It was hard for me to speak up. And so I think through my music, I kind of was able to, like, I wouldn't really like necessarily share all of my songs, but it was a way for me to kind of like prove to myself that I did have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a lot of my early music kind of centered around that.
Okay. Then question. So when did you start, loving singing by yourself, or, what made you to, sing like
Well,
enjoyably or
I always liked singing. I think
ah,
I always liked it a lot. And I always wanted to be a singer, but I think singing as opposed to other musical disciplines
uh-huh,
requires kind of a certain level of self-confidence because
uh-huh,
there's like this level of like putting yourself out there. This level of like performance. There's this level of like your body is the instrument
mm-hmm.
that I think it requires a level of self-confidence that it took me like a long time to develop.
I
So I
see.
think confidence is more important to singing than it is to a lot of things, like the French horn, honestly,
Right, right,
because it's an external instrument.
right,
Because singing is all internal, I think it's a little bit different.
right. I see. So when did you start singing with like choir or by yourself, like in
Yeah.
public or in house salon or
So
how?
I did some choir stuff when I was younger. I did a children's choir. I was in like my fifth grade honor choir, and then I kind of like focused on the French horn because like we weren't really able to do like multiple ensembles in like
Mhm.
middle and high school. And then I think in college I kind of started doing it again. I took lessons from my friend. I took voice lessons from my friend
Mm-hmm.
Nathan,
I see.
who's been really good. And then I just kind of started singing in things like I think I was just like singing freely, like I was just like having fun. And then she kind of just turned to me. She's like, "Can you sing my opera?" And I was like, like the role in your opera? And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
And so I think her taking a chance on me like that, like kind of really helped build my confidence. I was like, I need to practice more. I need to do this more. And so
Sure.
I've been taking all the performance opportunities I can now.
Right. I see. Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so one moment, Nikki, your camera like a little bit wiggling. So could
Oh,
you
okay. Sorry. We're on my bed.
yeah, could you a little bit make it higher than you
Yeah. Let
looking
me
is yeah.
let me put a book down
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I can.
yeah, yeah. That's better. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, 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 no worries. So
Can you
far,
get?
so good.
All right. Let me show you what's going down. Behind bars by Lane Kidd. Tonal
Ah!
harmony.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay, okay.
So you studied with it?
You know it. I actually I'm studying for assistantship exams over
Oh,
break. Did not
oh,
get them. That's okay.
oh. So what's
Yeah.
the exam again?
So when I was applying to grad school, some of them
Oh
also had
yeah, 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 yeah. Ah, that one.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah. So I
so
was applying to those as well.
what subject you have to take it?
Theory and sight singing, and I think there's also music history, but I knew I was not gonna get that, so I did not apply.
Ah, I see. So I mean, so how many school you applied?
Oh, I honestly applied to like a lot of grad schools. I applied to like
Ah,
10. So
yeah.
like 10 or
Oh,
11, I
that's
think.
that's kind of minimum, you know. Some students apply like more than 30 schools. I
Oh,
heard. Yeah, but not me.
yeah,
Wow.
well, there's not that many screen scoring programs though.
Right. Yeah.
Compared to like pure composition, I think there's a lot more of that. Um, but yeah, like there's honestly, I learned about a lot of programs. I didn't even know Indiana had a screen scoring program until
Ah,
this
okay.
cycle, actually.
Yeah.
But Teddy told me about it, and I was like, really? And then I was like, oh, this is a really good program. So,
Right. So the process of exam, is the same as just a classical contemporary music program?
um, can you like
Ah,
rephrase that?
so the process of the preparing the exam audition, is that the same as music composition program?
Yeah, it is portfolio based and interview
Ah,
based.
okay,
So, yeah,
okay.
so we do so in the same way that you would send in like a composition portfolio with scores, I would send in like a portfolio of screen scoring work with scores and then scores and recordings, that kind of thing. I will say different schools had different requirements. Some of
Right.
them would like send in like concert music and then like your two pictures optional. Some of them were like you need to like submit 3 to 4 scored to picture with
Right.
scores.
Ah,
So
I
yeah.
see.
Enjoying the vibe here on HYSSOP? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it forward. Want to see more? Join our Patreon and help us keep these stories alive.
So some school requires to submit 8 portfolio,
Um,
or you just, send them, as much as you want.
oh, well they tell you what to submit. Not so it's
Ah, okay.
yeah. So I mean it's in the same way that, like say BU might say like submit 3 portfolio pieces. They'll say like, submit 3 portfolio pieces and or like they might say like submit 4 portfolio pieces and then 3 of them have to be to picture. The fourth one can be like a concert piece, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
see.
But it's like it's different for each school. So it's that kind of thing, but slightly different depending on the school.
Yeah. It's because, these days, like your age or, younger generation of, students who really pursue the path like you, they might curious about how to prepare, the school for
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
scoring and screen score, scoring like that. So I was curious.
Yeah, I think one thing that I really did that was really helpful for me, and this is a little expensive, so you don't have to do it. I did
Right.
screen scoring workshops when
Uh-huh.
I was sophomore, like the
Uh-huh.
summer between my sophomore and junior year,
Right.
and it's really, really formative for me.
I
But I
remember it.
that was I really influential for me.
Okay.
Um, I will say there's like a lot of resources. Like if you can kind of go on Reddit, you can find like, unscored clips to kind of go and score. You can
Right.
kind of see like look up what sample libraries people are using. Um, I'm using East West on the Composer Cloud subscription right now, but I will
Mhm.
say that's kind of like a beginner one. And so I think people are
Mm.
kind of trying to like be like, hey, like go spend more money. So,
Ah,
but
I see. I see.
yeah.
So then, in your perspective, which schools for film scoring is like in top 5 in US?
Um, well, I think USC is like the top in
Uh-huh.
so
Of
it's very hard to
course.
get into. And if you get in there, it's very expensive. So I think
Right.
even if I'd gotten in there, I would not have been able to afford it.
Mm,
NYU is also a very good program. I really
right.
liked it when I went there. I got in and couldn't afford it. So it's very
Mm,
expensive. So
I
if
see.
you have a lot of money that, you or your parents put away for grad school, then I
Right.
think it'd be a good choice. They are
Right.
need-based undergrad now. So for undergrad, I think you have a
I
good shot
see.
at affording it. Me, it was not something that I could afford. I think Columbia College Chicago, I think, is also, from what I've
Oh,
heard, a good school for
right.
screen scoring. I think it might be like #1 on the list right now, but it kind of oscillates. I think if you ask anyone, everybody will kind of say like USC, but I've been told
Right.
very good things about Columbia
I
College.
see. What's so special about, USC?
I think it's just like it has a lot of opportunities. It's positioned in the heart
I
of the
see.
industry.
I
Yeah,
see. Uh-huh. Okay, that's good point. Oh, wow. Okay. So, now I would like to hear more about your transitioning process, like for creative, or writing music, or So first of all, uh, walk through me your typical process when starting a new composition. What does that look like from concept to completion?
sure. So I think I mentioned to you that I'm in the process of kind of reworking my process because I
Right.
want to focus a little bit less on start to finish composition and a little bit more on like trying to plan out a composition.
Hmm.
Traditionally, I have been very much a like let it flow, come back to it, edit, kind of let's see what how we can fit into it and
Mm.
fit into the gaps a little bit more. Um, I I definitely am used to writing in an all at once way. So traditionally I'll just kind of like I will know what it is, and then as much as I remember of it, I'll get it down, and then I'll kind of go back and like figure out how to kind of flesh out
Mm.
the vision from there. So
I see.
yeah. Like for
So,
songwriting
mhm,
also I'll like
keep
do the
going.
lyrics because
Hmm.
people will say like, oh, like, I do melody first, I do lyrics first. I like doing one or the other first is foreign to me. I just do it all at once. Like that's just how I conceptualize.
Oh, well, what does that mean? Everything all in one.
Everything everywhere all at once. So I think like I'll come up with the lyrics and the
Uh-huh.
melody for the lyrics at the same time.
Ah, okay.
But I think honestly, I've been working with a songwriter recently, a singer-songwriter. Her name is Zaya Mars. I'm producing her
Mm-hmm.
newest single,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I've learned a lot from her, from how thoroughly she goes back into the song in the editing process. Like we literally
Mm-hmm.
sat down for like 5 hours and she rewrote the whole song, whereas
Mm.
I would have just stopped at the first draft. So I think I learned a lot about kind of refining and making sure the product is what you want it to be instead of kind of stopping from that first initial flow of ideas. So
Okay, got you. So
to
you
answer your
meant,
question,
yeah,
the
I
shift
mean, go
is
ahead.
happening. Oh, I was just gonna say to answer your question, a shift is kind of happening in the way that I compose because of what I'm learning from the people around me.
Right, right. Yeah, that's awesome too, right? So inspiration in
Yeah.
each other is one of the best way to, grow. So you mentioned that, you were the producer for her.
Yeah.
So, what does that look like, and what technical tools you have been, game changer for your creative process?
Yeah, so I produced for her using Logic Pro X, so
Uh-huh.
the DAW. I started on Ableton because I back then I didn't have a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Mac and then at NYU actually they were like you need to learn Logic and I was like okay. All of this can be learned on YouTube by the way. You can learn any DAW on YouTube for free. Um, so I use a bunch of different libraries. I use a lot of contact libraries. I think I
Mm-hmm.
got Contact 7 on discount. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I tend to produce like non-classical music with. Um, and so I just kind of she had a version of the song with like another producer, but I think she kind of fell out with that collaborator. And so she was like, let me just give you this song as it is, and then we can kind of figure out something new. And so
Mm.
I was kind of hearing out her vision, and then I kind of laid down some things, and she was saying, you know, I like this, I don't like this. And we kind of also, I I think I kind of had an idea of what she was looking for. So we kind of agreed on like, you know, what was and wasn't working pretty quickly. And then also, I'm somebody who really likes to kind of cut and splice and like paste vocals
Uh-huh.
into something.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who also sings, it's really fun for me to just kind of do that with my own
Right.
vocal. So, and she is a really, really excellent singer. And so when I
Ah.
put that up to her, like we had so much fun chopping up her vocals and kind of putting them in to kind of
Mm.
really add something fresh to the beat to really make it more of a dance track. So I think that was
Right.
something fun in the
Right.
process.
Okay, so one question from this. So, what's the, beneficial for using Logic Pro X?
I think if you're working with other people, it's
Mm-hmm.
something that a lot of other people use. So it's versatile. A lot of people know how to use it. You'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to find a lot of help to use
Mm-hmm.
it on the internet
Mm-hmm.
because if you have a problem, somebody's definitely experienced that problem. Whereas with like
I
a
see.
lesser known DAW, it'll be harder to find help for
I
your
see.
technical issues.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And what about
Yeah.
the quality of the
It's
final
really
product?
versatile. I think it's very good for film scoring. It's very good for it's very good for anything you could possibly use it for. I think there's some DAWs where it's like, okay, this is kind of more specialized. So say if you want to make trap beats, FL Studio is very good for that. But like FL, you're not going to make a film score on FL Studio. Whereas I think like Pro Tools is very good for editing audio, but you're not going to edit MIDI on Pro Tools. Cubase, I don't know that much about. I heard it's also good for film scoring, but
Mm.
I think Hans Zimmer uses Cubase now.
I
I don't know
see.
about Cubase. I
Okay.
I
Okay.
just got it. But
Okay.
yeah, I think it's just versatile.
Okay, so from this, I have one more question. So you are a classically trained composer, right? But
Yes.
then you adapt this DAW workstation with Logic Pro X.
Hmm.
So you know how to notate with pencil and paper, and plus you can use this, like tools. So how do you feel? And what's the
How I feel?
beneficial to, yeah, and what's the beneficial to have these two, technical skills in your hands?
So I started with the DAW stuff. So I started with Ableton Live before I came to college. And I think coming in as a freshman, I underestimated the value that a classical training would give me. I
Mm-hmm.
really did. I was like, oh, this is just going to be like something I kind of have to do before I like,
Ah, okay.
can do what I want to do.
I
But
see.
it's really kind of shaped me and made me incredibly versatile in the things that I can do. Like now I can compose, I can arrange, I can understand what the instruments do. I know how to run a rehearsal. I know how to do a lot of, I know how to conduct. I know how to, I don't know, like I forget what
So a
else I know.
lot of skills you already like organized and learned from
Music
the
theory,
yeah.
yeah, for the degree. That's, I think,
Yeah. Wow.
really important.
So
Yeah.
how the traditional trained skill apply to the that workstation. So how you do it,
Yeah. I think a conservatory style musical education trains you on how to analyze music. And
right?
once you know how to analyze music and take it apart and understand why it does what it does,
Right?
you're able to kind of take apart and recreate any style of music.
Mm-hmm.
And that can serve you in any genre that you want to go into. You want to go into jazz, you want to go into pop, into R&B,
Right.
into, I don't know, anything. Anything
Right.
you want. Once you understand how the theory of taking it apart and putting it back together works,
Right.
you can apply that and recreate anything.
Right. Then, how would you suggest or advise people who, work from only that workstation, process to train themselves, as a like a traditional style of music composition?
I think I think taking lessons is something
Mm-hmm.
that's really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could point people to like a resource on the internet that I really trust to teach people notation and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, because this is a question I've gotten before.
Right.
Honestly, I would love to, a eventual goal of mine that I don't really have like kind of the time or bandwidth for is to create that kind of like free resource for people online,
Right.
like kind of free classes to get people into this, because I think it's something that is less accessible than it can and should be.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of accessing classical training, notational training,
Right.
basic music theory for people who don't have background in it.
Right.
I think, I don't know, I can follow up with you if I happen to find like something, a resource that I really trust. But
Yeah. Or, do you recommend to, study music theory
yes.
for them,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah, right?
Yes. 200%. I think the importance of music theory is extremely underestimated in non-concert music,
Right.
non-classical communities.
Right.
Because once you understand music theory, everything kind of starts to fall into place. Like I've met a lot
Right.
of people who like are like I've met some like, producers from Berkeley who are like,
Sure.
oh, like hate music theory, blah 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 blah. But it's just like I don't understand how you can hate it. It's
Right.
instructions. It's telling you how it works.
Right.
So it's like a
Right.
cheat code. Like I
Right.
don't know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great, advice for everyone, who really interested in score writing or film writing for future. Yeah. So I think we have just 7 minutes and we just come back with the same link, so no worry about that.
Sure.
And last question in this session. So film scoring often involves quick, turnarounds, right? So how did you
Yes.
maintain creativity when working under pressure?
Um, I think there's good environments and there's bad environments is my
Right.
answer. I've had good collaborations and I've had bad collaborations. I can start with the bad and go into the good.
Sure.
So I think bad collaborations have been when I've had to it's been kind of minimal communication, like minimal communication of the expectations. They did not send me any demo tracks at all because they like demo reels of their video game at all. So I just had
Right.
no idea what I was working with. They're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, it's not ready yet. And I was like, well, I don't know. And if I once I saw the final project, all I could think is if I'd seen this, I would have done this differently. And then I think they didn't know what they wanted. But I would just send them stuff and then they would be like, oh, we don't like this, like do this. But then when I would do that, that wasn't what they wanted. So they didn't know what they wanted. They didn't know how to communicate what they wanted. And if I could do that again, I would have just been like, let's sit down for a Zoom meeting. Let's hash it out. But I remember I like sent them like 30 versions. And then once the version I finally sent them, it didn't sound like myself at all. It sounded like this like almost like racist approximation of like Japanese like video game music. And they were like, oh my God, this is great. And I was like, I hate this. This is not my voice. This music doesn't feel good to
Right.
me. And so I think there are a lot of things I would have done differently if I were to do
Mm.
that collaboration again.
Hmm.
But I think I with communication being the key word, one of the best collaborations I've had was on a television show, a
Mm,
student-run television show,
mhm,
web series
mhm,
called Inintentional, and I have the poster for it in my room. So the girl who runs that, her name is Maggie Borgen. She is extremely organized. So she's the showrunner, the
mm,
writer, lead actor, showrunner,
mhm.
everything. She was extremely organized in kind of we were on the same page for the planning. Or she was very communicative. She was very communicative with what she wanted. She gave me some references. She gave me Only Murders in the Building. So it's kind of a comedy whodunit kind of TV show. So she gave me all of the information she possibly could right off the bat. So I was able
Awesome.
to write, I was able to like do some sketches and send those to her. And then I
Right.
was able to kind of like write. And then once it kind of came down to the crunch time to write for those episodes, I understood like where I wanted to go. And also, I think that was one of the projects that I got a lot of creative freedom off of because like
Mm,
once she kind of trusted my voice, I was like
great.
able to go in. So it was an ensemble cast and then she wanted different themes for all of them. So I was able to kind of do different instrumentation, different
Right.
motivic material.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that was a really rewarding collaboration. So I think communication is key. And another rewarding collaboration was with a professor from Northeastern.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a project called Bronwyn's Harmonium. I think
Mm-hmm.
actually, they them pronouns. So I'll use they them pronouns. So that project, I was able to write a fake anime theme song, which is incredibly fun. And we
Mm-hmm.
spent so much time kind of hashing out inspirations and figuring out the artistic direction for the song.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, we were able to create a product that we both really liked, that aligned with the film, that aligned with the vision. And so and that I felt like, was still representative of my artistic voice as well, and that I had a lot of fun creating. Um, so I think that communication and alignment of artistic vision
Mm-hmm.
are things that are really important in
Mm-hmm.
a film scoring collaboration, I think.
Wow, nice. So one question. So how did you find this project? So you contact them or they reach out to you? How does it work?
Honestly, cold calling, not calling, cold
Ah,
emailing goes a long way. Cold emailing goes a long way. So after NYU, I had a lot of confidence. So I was like,
ah,
let's talk to people. So for this professor, I actually cold emailed him because he
mm,
was a video games professor. I
okay.
said, "Hey, I can score for your students. I'm really experienced in this." Like kind of a half truth, but I was like, I will train myself
Awesome.
in this. I will get myself. And he said, "I really like your stuff. I'm a filmmaker. Do you want to write for my thing?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah, I would
oh,
love to write for
nice.
your thing." And then for the student-run TV show, I worked with a filmmaker who lived in my building, and then she told me about the application for this project, and so I applied
Wow.
to be the producer, and then I got
Hmm.
taken on. So that was really rewarding.
Nice, nice. But then the singer and you project, so you created the first one, very first one. You talking
Um,
about from the beginning.
which one?
The you were the producer and she was the singer.
Oh, Zaya. Yes,
Yeah,
the
Zara. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What
I
about her?
see. I mean, that project, you create the project or she invite you to collaborate?
Oh, so she invited me to collaborate. So she
Ah,
had already
okay.
written the song, and then
Ah,
she had fallen out with the producer who was going to produce for it, and then she
mm,
asked if like I wanted to collaborate, and I said yeah, because I like her music, and so and then
right.
we met up. I produced kind of a skeleton of a track for her, and I think the rest of our sessions so far have just been her kind of like rewriting the song, and now she's solidified the lyrics, so now we're kind of going to go back in and
Ah,
restructure the track.
I see, I see. Wow, that's all of us very sounds exciting and you did great job. And I'm so, excited to have, what your new projects in near future. You're gonna be a great, great, great film score composer.
Gosh, thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you were always, passionate and you have like full of curiosity and doing something for very, passionate and active. So I really like, that, a personal character from you and, your energy, So yeah, it's kind of sad to not much have time to spend time with you at school. So yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
I was telling actually I was telling Jenna, do you know Jenna?
Yeah,
Jenna
yeah,
Ray.
yeah. We close.
I was
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I work at the School of Music front office, and so I was telling her today about when in the opera class, I mentioned
Ah,
just hand that I liked stickers, and then you came in with like 7 sheets of like Korean stickers. I was like, oh my God.
yeah.
I just have like such fond memories of like us being in that class
Ah, you
together.
remember
It
it.
was
Ah,
really so fun.
okay. Nice, nice. I mean, I'm so glad to have lovely alumni from BU was my one of the
Yes.
best
Yeah. If you
memories.
have any premieres in the US, please tell me. I would love to go.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Listening to HYSSOP, like, subscribe and share if it sparked something in you. And if you want to hear more raw, real conversations, support us on Patreon. Every bit helps us keep creating.
This is
Same.
so much fun, and this is very special time to chat with you in personal, story. I think at school we really don't have time to chat like this, right? So
I
this is
agree.
really,
Yeah.
really great, conversation with someone who really, in professional industry. I have so much question and I cannot finish in one
Okay.
time. We just, 30% done so far because I have so much questions for you. So,
Yeah, that's okay. Honestly,
well,
I'm around. Yeah.
because I don't hold you too much, but probably, finishing this session and we can, promise for next, episode like caught up
Sure.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, we did it. Okay, so one more question from, your composition work. So probably this is a similar question I asked before, but I want to recap. How do you balance, honoring classical tradition while bringing fresh perspectives to your work?
I'm still working on it.
Right. But I
Um,
love to have your opinion on that.
yes. I think I think it's a natural kind of way of composing that you're always going to be influenced by the classical tradition or just like classical tradition in the way of saying the things that have come before you that inspire you. Like that's never going to kind of go away in your music. But I think I don't know. I feel like there's kind of two different struggles that different composers have.
Mhm.
Some people have the struggle of like kind of moving outside of the canon and experimenting, and then some people kind of have trouble understanding what came before and incorporating it. Because like I think by nature you're going to reinvent the wheel if you've never seen a wheel. So I think a lot of people kind of do that in the name of, oh, I'm not going to I'm not going to study my music history, I'm not going to study music theory, that kind of thing. Like you're going to recreate the things that work because they work for a reason. Um, but I think the best advice I can give that I've gotten is to listen to everything that you can, to analyze everything that you can,
Right.
listen curiously, listen
Agree.
and get suggestions from people. Go to live music as much as you can. That's like hearing things live is completely different than hearing it in a recording. So in terms of acoustics and the overall experience, do go to listening parties. I just had a listening party with my friend Lee, where
Oh,
she
what
really
is it?
so she is very into medieval music from I think
Uh-huh.
around the 1450s.
Ah,
So she got a Pulwa CD, that's Pullois. And
uh-huh.
so we listened to Pulwa's music. And then Josh Feinberg had just given me a CD of his music because I
Uh-huh.
was like, and then I think he gave me some of his scores to borrow to score study his stuff. So I brought his CD and she brought her Pulwa CD and we listened to all of it and
Mm.
we watched Revenge of the Sith at the same time. So
Oh,
it was
wow,
fun.
nice. So what
Yeah.
so how much inspire you do like a listening party with your peers?
I think it's fun. I think it introduces you to, at its best, it introduces you to a lot of music that you would never have heard otherwise, especially if your friends listen to widely different things, which mine do. So I think it's just another way to broaden your horizons, which I think is incredibly important in understanding the potential that you as a composer have to create other things.
Right. So what was your city about by Joshua Feinberg? It was the Sonic uh what was the name of his city?
I
Can
have,
you
I have it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is I don't know how to say this in French. Voix volée.
Ah,
Merle.
okay. Can you show me just, like
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I can. Wait, let me get behind bars back up. Um,
Sure.
okay.
I think I saw the front page before.
And then I can show you the back.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so it what about it? What was the instrumentation?
It's a piano album.
Oh, is that for a recent publication?
It's 2012.
2012. Oh, okay. The pianist is Marilyn Nonkin?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
You know
Oh,
it?
oh, yes. Ah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Well, I
So,
gotta get more versed in the discography.
so you hear the Veil for piano solo by Feinberg?
Yes. Yeah, I actually I score studied it for my homework.
Awesome. What did you learn
Yeah.
from it?
Oh my gosh. So I think at that point, I was kind of in the thick of writing a piece, in terms of like a fully planned out like plan instead of start to finish. So I was kind of, and he was also kind of forcing me to like kind of think in a way that wasn't just like notes. So basically I'd planned this piece out gesturally, and I think he gave me this homework because it helped me understand how I could flesh out gestures, like
Right,
a possibility. Because,
right.
I mean, whoa, how do you say it? Veils.
Yeah, Veil.
How to say it in French. Veils is very gestural. And so I think another piece, Grisaille, I also had the score for that, is also very gestural. So I think in seeing the ways that he fleshed out those gestures over time, yeah, like gesture time. That doesn't make sense.
I see.
Gesture time. Range time. Yeah, okay. So that was kind of really educational in seeing the possibilities for the way that I could do it, because I was also kind of like in my diagram, I was like, I had this like plink plink idea, and then I was thinking note note, and he was like showing me, clusters, sets of notes. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking way too small in terms of these gestures. So studying veils was really helpful for me in that
Oh,
regard.
awesome.
Yeah.
So you finish a piece with him or
Um,
left out?
so no. So I think in the beginning I was like totally like grad apps, and then it was a lot of like film scoring projects, and I think this entire semester has just been like me trying and failing to understand what he meant by like planning out a piece. Like I'd bring in like grids and whatever, and he's like no no no, and I was like no. But then I think we finally ended up on the same page at like the very end of the semester, and so
Great.
I now have that I started plotting out. He said,
Awesome.
finish it out, like finish this piece, like work on this. And once you have this skill, you can transfer it anywhere.
Right, right.
When I
Awesome.
free time again, that will be my
Right.
task.
So you will be finished the piece at some point in the future, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Awesome. Let me know,
I will.
I love to hear it.
Yeah, and if you have a
Wow.
minute after this, I would love to hear what you're working on, because I feel like there's probably this whole like facet of your life that I we haven't talked in 2 years. I would love to hear.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Time flies, right?
I know, I know.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is interesting conversation with, in same studio, mentors and, we have like common topics and then we share more music and, like memories and stuff. It's so amazing.
Mhm. Did you
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, you did study with Josh, right?
For whole my doctoral, yeah, years.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
So,
there's a
yeah.
reason you know his whole discography.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so into his music and you remember I present his opera in the opera class. Did you
Did you?
remember that? Yeah, I present his opera work at
Okay.
in the class. You don't remember it?
I was it Lolita?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I do
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
So,
represented it at
huh?
like a I said he represented it at like a studio meeting, but I do
Ah,
remember your initial
yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
How he presented it was very different than mine. How was it?
Um, long.
Yeah, it's long, but can you make it short? Just, a few
Oh, no,
sentences.
well, I think
What is the point to present the piece? Like what, like more t musical technique or more story behind, or how
he
does it?
presented it very philosophically, I think.
Yeah,
Kind of, I think he talked about the music, but I think he used the music to kind of convey the story, I think. So his presentation was very, very philosophical in terms of
right. I
what he
see.
was using the music to do, whereas I think yours is, of course, like more focused in the music and the technicality.
I see.
Yeah.
The studio meet like every once in a week or just
No,
twice
like
a week?
twice in a semester, I think. Well, it's like
Ah,
a
okay.
4 hour meeting.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
meeting, like probably 4.5 hours. So that's what I
Right.
meant by long.
I
So
see. Yeah, 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 right. Awesome. Yeah, that was very good for me to have like meet Pearson having his special stories and music.
we were in it at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. So wow, that's I missed the time.
How does it feel to be Dr. Jinhee?
No way. Well, yeah, respectfully, thank you.
Yes.
Now, I would like to diving deeper into the identity and challenges for you. Have questions. Um, you move between classical composition and contemporary production. Do these different musical worlds ever feel in conflict with each other?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear
Good question,
it.
I
Sounds
think.
fun.
Yeah, no, I think from the moment, definitely from the moment I entered the degree, maybe before that too,
Hmm.
because I was a French hornist, so that's kind of
Right.
like being in the world of concert music as well. Um, it came in conflict because my first teacher, kind of I feel like we had different attitudes. Like he was kind of very focused on like compositional legacy, where he was like, like these pop artists, like it's like short-lived music. But I was saying, I mean, recording music has been around for like what, a century? Like we don't know that. We don't know that people won't be listening to this later
Right.
or singing it. Because I think he grew up with classical music in the way that I grew up with pop music. So those were our foundations. Um, and then, so I think just coming into that perspective, I was immediately at odds because I disagreed so, vehemently with that. But I was like, okay, whatever. I'll stick it out, I'll learn what I need to learn, and I'll dip, which is why I was surprised that this education has been so formative for me because that was my
Right.
first impression. Um, but he said, on my first lesson, he said two things. He said, what did he say? If you can do anything other than music, do that. And I was like, what? But I think he meant that on like a mental level. He was like, you need to be like compelled to do this, which I
Right.
mean, I think we are. Um, and he also said like, you can take this training wherever you want to go. Like this is the basics, this is the fundamentals. And I said, okay, lay it on me. So yeah. In terms of from the other side, kind of more contemporary stuff conflicting with the classical training,
Right.
a good friend of mine, we kind of fell out, but he's a trap producer. And so I would kind of go with him to sessions. I like, was learning from him there. I would collaborate with him on tracks. And he also had some classical background.
Mm.
He's not studying music in college, but I think he did like Juilliard pre-college and that kind of thing. But I noticed like kind of in those circles, like, most people didn't have classical training. And so there's definitely were like a lot of people who were like, oh, like, like we don't need theory kind of people, which like, I mean, he was also against, but I think it was definitely they're definitely capable of being two different worlds. And there's also, I think, kind of a lot of misogyny present in both of them in
Hmm.
different ways, but also kind of the same way.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
I see. I see. Very good. Very good. Uh, point of view from you. So now, how has your classical training informed your approach to pop music production and vice versa?
Um, Not to come back to structure, but I think it's a lot more structured. It feels like a pun almost. I think the way I would go about it, I was just like, oh, I have this inspiration. Now I'm going to put it out. Now I'm going to like flesh it out with this music. And that was kind of how I thought I would always approach
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
But now I feel like I have this massive mental palette to pull from because
Mm-hmm.
I've been exposed to listening and writing in so many different styles
Mm-hmm.
through undergrad. Because that's also another thing that John Wallace told me is he said, if you want to be a film scorer, you need to be able to write every type of music. Because that's what's going to be asked of you. And I said, okay, like that's what I'll spend my undergrad learning how to do. And so I think it's made me incredibly versatile because my goal was to be a person where if I'm asked to write in this way, I can do it. So, if I'm collaborating with an artist who has this specific voice, I can be like, let's tap into that. Let's figure out what this needs.
Right.
So I think it's to an extent, it's once you kind of get that basic foundation, you can kind of take it anywhere. You can work with anybody, which
Right.
really, really,
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah.
So, being both performer and producer, how does wearing, multiple hats as both performer and producer
Oh,
affect your
multiple
relationship?
meanings.
Yeah, affects your relationship with the music you create.
Oh, okay. I think I have always known who I am artistically. I
Hmm.
think it's made other people, it's made it hard for other people to see. I think Josh told me this semester, I don't think you know what your artistic voice is.
Mm,
Um, which I think is like, I think it's because it's like, I'm like, oh, well, I'll do this. You're asking me to do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But it's like, I think there is still like an underlying thread that makes what I create
mm,
mine that is still kind of irreplaceable.
hmm,
Um, I think I think people expect to kind of hear something and be like, oh, or like people kind of expect your discography to sound the same in a way. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it confuses people off when it doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, like that's inauthentic that, it's not all the same. But I don't think that's true at all. That's never been true to me because I'm inspired by what I'm inspired by and I'll write what I want to write, what I'm asked to write. And so I don't know. I think it's made people view me as kind of like nebulous in a way, but that's something I'm still exploring because like I had to kind of sit with myself and think like, do I
Hmm.
not have an artistic voice? I
Hmm.
mean, I think that I do, but maybe that's just not clear yet. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
I
So
see.
maybe I need to make that more clear to the
Right.
world.
I see. Great. Yeah. I mean, we all grow until, what we really want to do something. So
Right.
that's great. Great point of view. So, can you share a moment when being both performer and producer created a unique breakthrough in your work?
Yes.
Mhm.
I think they both feed into each other, definitely. I feel like this year I've had a lot more breakthroughs as a performer than as a composer. I feel like
Mm.
as a composer, I've been stagnant in a way compared to how much I've improved as a performer. Um, I think everything informs everything in a way because it's all just like your knowledge doesn't go away. It's all this
Mm-hmm.
thing that informs everything you learn, informs every other discipline you take part in. Like I took an acting class. Oh my, see, count take a shot every time I adjust my hat because I hate my bangs. That's why I keep
Ah, I see. Why? Why you hate your bangs?
I got a haircut and they told me I just have to grow it out. I just have to sit with it.
I see.
So
Still cute
um
and pretty.
yeah.
No worries.
Oh. I think if you speed this up, you're just gonna see.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, anyway, right. So I took an acting class
Mhm.
for the first time last semester because I just wanted to become better as a performer. The
Mm,
title was acting performance, but then I accidentally really liked it. I accidentally got good at it, and then I took
mm,
another class.
mhm,
I got better, and I accidentally really liked it. And I've started acting in student films, so it was kind of a rabbit hole. But all that is to say is I learned so much in this semester of acting, acting two. Um,
mhm,
and one thing that really stuck with me is when you're in a scene, um, a critique that some of us got was you can't play the ending of the scene. So you can't make it obvious what is going to happen at the end of the scene in the beginning because there needs to be an arc so that the audience is constantly like being surprised and engaged by what's happening. Like say if it's like, you and I walk into a room and we've never met and at the end we're fighting, they can't know we're about to fight right as we like meet. Like it needs to build up that our interaction needs to build up to that. And so I was talking to Josh
mhm,
Feinberg in our lesson, and then he was saying like what he was saying in terms of composing, like, was literally just that. Like, I don't remember how he said it, but I was like, this is the same thing. It's you can't play the ending. You need to build up to this point in the composition. And then he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's all transferable knowledge.
If HYSSOP moved you, like subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. And if you believe in what we're building, support us on Patreon so we can keep the mic on and the stories flowing.
So I think it really informs all disciplines,
Mm-hmm.
especially performance and composition, inform each other in a feedback loop that
Right.
one can only make you better at the other. So
Right.
especially if your neurons are firing and you're making those connections. So
Right. Wow, I'm glad that you're taking the acting class. Wow,
me
that's
too.
amazing. Wow. Wow. Because you're going for the film scoring, then you see a lot of like acting scenes like that, and you have more intimate feeling from the scenes or stories behind it. So, wow, that's
You
amazing.
films totally differently now that I like understand acting as like a discipline.
Right, yeah. So it'll connect, right?
Yes.
Wow. So now I have a little bit more questions about professional challenges and growth. So first, challenges of being a young woman in film scoring. What misconception have you encountered about young women in composition and film scoring?
Um, oh my gosh. I think honestly, all right, I have my cynical take on this, which is that people are waiting for you to mess up all of the time because the bar is higher for women. The bar is
Mm,
higher for women, and people wait for you to mess up so they can say, I told you so. And then if you haven't messed up, they'll respect you, but then like as soon as you do, they like won't anymore. And
mm,
I don't think that bar is in the same place for male composers. I think they're given a little bit more grace in that regard.
mm,
I've seen that in, I think, every field that I've been in musically. I've seen it in concert music. I've seen it in pop production. I've seen it in singing,
mm.
especially singing in terms of like, my male peers viewing that. Um, so I think that's definitely been
I
my
see.
and my peers too, in terms of like, talking to other people and seeing, what male composers have said about them. So, and also
Right.
like male composers have said to my face sometimes, and it's been people who have surprised me.
Wow.
So I think, yeah, that's my cynical take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody has like a different challenges, so yeah, sure. So, have there been moments when you've had to advocate for yourself or your creative vision in spaces that you weren't immediately receptive?
Um, I think a lot of my time at BU to an extent has kind of felt like that. Like I had imposter syndrome up until I think my last semester, to be
Ah,
totally honest.
ah,
Um, but I think it's hard for me to tell how much of that is in my head too, because I recognize that like I am so much more critical of myself and whether I belong in a space than like other people are. Like I dance as well, and I almost quit my dance class this semester because I was like, I feel like I'm so behind everyone else. I feel like everyone else is like a good dancer and I'm falling behind. And my
mm,
teacher said with genuine surprise, like, I'm surprised you even said that. Nobody else in the class thinks that. So like it could be in my head.
I
I
see.
think I don't know. In terms of advocating for myself, I think just kind of putting myself forward when I can and kind of quietly getting better.
Hmm.
Even like if someone thinks that I'm like bad at something, I'm
Hmm.
not going to correct them. I'm just going to like when they see me improve at that thing, they'll have seen it. But as of like now, my current self has nothing to prove. Like I will be better.
Right,
I know
right,
that. They
right,
don't.
right,
That's fine. Yeah.
right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear your take on that too, or though maybe I should view your
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, yeah. Next time I will
Yeah,
prepare it.
yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So, how do you approach the emotional aspects of film scoring, like capturing the right feeling for a scene that might be far from your personal experience?
Mm. I think in terms of direction
Mm-hmm.
for film scoring, in a good collaboration, there will be a lot of communication about like what the score is going to do. Like that's kind of the first thing I try to ask my collaborators,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want the score to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we kind of start to go in the direction of, instrumentation, emotions, maybe genre, that kind of thing. So usually in a good collaboration, my collaborator knows they're like, this is what we want the audience to be feeling. This is
Mm-hmm.
what is going to happen. Um, and so I think communication with the director or showrunner who is going to know what needs to happen is going to help me get there. Other ways, it's just guesswork, and everybody's unhappy.
I
So,
see.
yeah.
I see. Can you share a particular scoring challenge that pushed you to grow as an artist?
I think I mentioned that one where I had like 30 revisions, and that really taught me the value of communication, kind of like, forcing communication when it's not happening from the other side. Because there's going to be a lot of times where a director or showrunner doesn't know what they want, and they're just going to kind of put you through hell to kind of figure it out. But I think that's avoidable if you're able to kind of like get them up front and say like, number one, like I'm only going to do X number of revisions, and
Mm-hmm.
then also like we need to sort it out. Let's sort it out so we can figure out what to do here. Um, yeah, I think communication is the biggest thing I've learned across my
Right,
collaborations.
right. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
now I have a little bit different direction of the questions for you. So community and future direction. Who have been your most important mentors and how has their guidance shaped your path?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many, which I'm
Yeah,
incredibly privileged to say. Some of
awesome.
whom are in composition, some of whom aren't. I mean, obviously, I've talked to you about, Josh, Ketty, and John Wallace, who have been all incredibly formative
Right.
in their ways, and I think I've talked about each of them. Ketty is, for those of you listening, she taught the opera class that Jinhee and I both took together, and she's an incredible composer, extremely skilled. She taught my orchestration class as well. Very, very organized and supportive, and has really influenced my starting to compose art
Mm-hmm.
song. Um, but aside from composition mentors, I think somebody who really stuck with me this semester was my dance teacher, who I've studied with
Mm,
for about 2 years. That was another
wow,
kind of wasn't really expecting to
awesome.
like, but I think I've learned so much about kind of discipline and creativity and pushing myself from being in her class. Because when I almost quit the class, like she said a couple things, like, and she said, like, in our, well, number one, she said, okay. Oh my God, sorry, I'm like very sleep deprived
No, no,
now.
no, 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 no. That's natural. Oh.
She said, like when it's hard, like, like sometimes like you're going to have so many things going on. Like sometimes it's just, getting out of bed and going to what you've committed to doing. Like when you commit to something, you follow through. And then also she said, women like us, we don't always get as many opportunities. So when we get them,
Right.
we have to take them. So I think that is something that's really stuck with me.
Hmm.
So shout out Josie Coleman, best dance teacher I've ever had. And then she told me kind of at the end of the semester, like you need to keep going. Like you have what it takes as a performer. You just need to try things. You just need to try things religiously all of the time. Like push yourself to do things that you don't think you can do. Like put yourself in those spaces. And I think I hold myself back from doing things that I know that I can do, or like going into spaces that I know I'll be accepted in and kind of staying there stagnant, in terms of like applying to jobs, in terms of opportunities. And I think that is a mental shift that I need to make as an artist to take my career forward.
Hmm.
So that is some really influential advice I
Oh
heard
my
this.
goodness. I'm so
Yeah.
inspired and she's really one of the great mentors for you. I'm sure. I totally agree with her. Um, and we have 9 minutes, so I have maybe two, three more questions for you. And then rest of them maybe next we just talk each other like in natural. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so, what changes do you hope to see in the music industry regarding representation and opportunities? Kind of relate to that.
I think acceptance and accessibility are two things
Mm,
am very passionate about because of, like I said, of kind of my experience of feeling that like I am kind of teetering on this precipice of I
Mhm.
need to be at the top of my game, at the top of my class. Otherwise, I don't belong here, and people are going to like prove that to me. I think that's not like that's a feeling that isn't exclusive to me, and I think that, that women, that, people who are not like necessarily always seen as being in concert music spaces or in like,
Right.
pop music spaces. I'm not saying like, like the bar shouldn't be high. I think it's more of like it people shouldn't be like expecting to like fall or like fail. I think
Yeah.
it's there should be more acceptance for beginners of like all types, all shapes and sizes, all genders, that kind of thing in music in all spaces, all communities. I think that
Mhm.
is something we can all work towards. And I also think accessibility of music theory and kind of basic training in concert music, because
Mhm.
I think once people understand how much it can help, I think people will be kind of bit by the bug and they'll want to learn more because it's something that's really fascinating. Like it's not interesting. It's really incredible. And I mean like learning about composers and things like that. I mean, they're just people, like we're people. So I think understanding that human aspect and understanding that like this is a handbook for how modern music is the way it is. Like, why wouldn't you want to know? Um, will really change people's minds. So I think just that little push of making the basics of concert music accessible to people will
Right. Right. I
help.
agree.
That form of free education is something I care
Mm.
about.
Mm. Got you. So, how do you approach mentoring others while still developing your own career?
I think my answer is that I'm not there yet. I almost started a music production club at BU, but then I just didn't have the bandwidth to do everything myself. Like I knew that if I had like kind of a team with me
Mm-hmm,
to kind of
mm-hmm,
do it, to delegate things to, I could totally have delegated and then like, headed it myself. But nobody was really willing to kind of do that groundwork with me. And so I was like, okay, this is not a project that I can take on yet. But I think, and I talked to somebody who came in as like an entrepreneurship mentor to the CFA, and he said that those kinds of projects you kind of need to be willing to take on the groundwork all like right away because like people aren't really going to jump on until you've done that.
right,
So unless you're in a position where you have like the time to do that, don't do it yet.
right.
But I think for something smaller scale, like teaching lessons, I think I would want to be a little bit more comfortable with, refining my composition
Mm-hmm,
process before I
mm-hmm,
start teaching other people. Like I
mm-hmm,
said, kind of
mm-hmm,
beginning of the journey of structuring my pieces and that kind of thing.
mm-hmm,
But I like teaching a lot. I like mentoring. I work for the BU School of Music right now as my work study, and I really like talking to prospective students to kind of share them,
mm-hmm.
what I've done, what other people have done to kind of build their careers here at BU.
Right.
So
Wow, that's awesome. You'll be a good teacher, I'm
thank
sure.
you. Thank you. You too.
So maybe this will be the last question for you today. So we'll do this and then like finishing up.
Okay.
So through your content creation and media outreach, what message are you most passionate about conveying?
I was just talking to Vanessa about this because I
Ah!
was thinking, when I started doing it, I was like, oh, like I can dance, I can like, act, I can like sing my songs, I can like, like do little videos. But then I was thinking, they're cutting funding to the arts in America right now. People don't
I
understand what we do
know.
in
Right,
conservatories. Like it's just
right.
a foreign world to people. If I can kind of make what we do like a little bit more accessible, like maybe just showing like, hey, like this is what we're doing, this is what rehearsal is like this is the music that we're creating. I think that can create if if I'm able to create some external interest in that,
Mm-hmm.
that's a set of first steps towards people understanding and valuing the arts. Because once people like understand something and think it's cool, they'll be like, yeah, I want that to stay. And I think it's just we're like a weird like foreign world to people. We're like, I don't know, we're like another strata of the ocean or something. But I don't think it has to be that way. I think concert music is unnecessarily inaccessible in that way.
Right,
And I
right,
would love to be a person to help bridge that gap.
right. Have you thought about any solution about it?
Um, I think content creation in that way that kind of like humanizes us and shows our artistry, like in collaboration, and kind of shows our excitement about it. I think the enemy of making the arts accessible is this like genius culture of like, oh, like, I as a composer am this like genius and you're not, but here's my genius. It's like
Mm,
it doesn't I don't believe in that. I really don't. I think we need to be sharing our art. We need to be sharing why we do this and what we're doing. And then people can be like, "Oh, that's really cool. That's amazing. Maybe I can try it." Or like, "I love that. Let me go listen to it in concert." I
right,
think that's a step, like making it human.
right.
Like, yeah.
That's great. I agree. I wanted to ask you one more thing that what was the question for you? So okay, aside from that, could you like mentioning your current projects and future project and how does that work to move from, Boston to new location?
Sure. Okay, so I have a bunch of kind of future projects that are on the horizon.
Nice.
If you remember my acting teacher, he's
Uh-huh.
also a playwright. So
Uh-huh.
he is doing like a Midsummer Night's Dream kind of thing.
Ah,
And I think he's pulling me on to do kind of part of the score for that.
oh,
And
nice.
he created this like new motion capture kind of technology that he's going to utilize like to create moving visuals. So I'm excited to see that happen.
Nice.
Um, so I think that's BU next semester.
Right.
Obviously, I'll be remote. I think I told you I'm working with Zaya on her new single.
Mhm.
I am also currently creating, um, I'm working on rolling out a single right now for like my
Oh,
own. So I'm going to go film a music video, maybe just a visualizer if scheduling doesn't work out, but ideally like, like a fully styled music
right.
video for that.
Nice.
That's gonna happen. And then I've also kind of been like kind of producing I have either like, like an EP or maybe eventually I think a couple of concept EPs.
Mhm.
I want to release those soon because I think I have like a couple different solidified concepts where it's like
Right.
it would be a little bit of a mismatched album, but I think a
Right.
concept makes sense.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And then how much excited about your new location?
Good. I'm planning to move out during the summer so I can find work in Indiana and get used to the area. So I'm
Nice.
really excited. I just applied to some internships there.
Ah,
This
okay. So
hopefully it goes.
yeah, you will. And
Oh,
what was
damn.
your summer plan?
Well, I wasn't totally sure. I was kind of gonna play it by ear based on where I
Uh-huh.
was going to
Right.
go. There was this one job that I applied to work at this festival, but they didn't give me the jobs that I wanted, and the job they gave
Ah,
me I think, would have totally burned me out for the summer.
oh,
So
I see.
because I wanted to come into grad school like fresh, ready to
Right.
work, ready to do what needs to be done, and that I think wouldn't have been the right place for me. So I think I applied to like some School of Music career development internships. Hopefully I
Right.
get those. If I don't,
Yeah.
that's okay. I'll find anything and I
Yeah.
will kind of
You
work
will.
on my music. Yeah.
Right, right. Congrats again, and thank you
Thank you.
for your time today. And I really love to hear from you soon. Like any exciting
Yes.
news,
Yeah,
and
we need to do a call.
Sure,
Yes. And
yeah,
thank
yeah, 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 yeah. Of
this is
course.
really fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm so happy to have you today.
I'm
So
happy to be
thank
here.
you, Nikki, and have a great night. And
Have a great night too, or great day. Is it
yeah,
day for you?
thank you. Yeah, day.
Have a
Yes.
great day.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Love real talk and fresh interviews? Like, subscribe and share HYSSOP. It helps more than you know. And if you're vibing with our content, consider supporting us on Patreon so we can keep these conversations going. Your support means everything.